Alright, this video I'm gonna speak about my masters, the people that I learned the most from to help me guide me through life. Really, the wisdom came from within. It was always there, and it's always within everybody. And Bruce Lee was the one that introduced me to Eastern philosophy. So Bruce Lee, in a sense, was my first master, as far as me learning a great deal more about my inner self. His philosophies, reading through all his books, really helped me understand myself. But as we all know, Bruce Lee died at the age of 32. Because he died unexpectedly, he was not able to get out as much material as he could have if he lived longer. So his life was cut short. So I learned as much as I could from him through what there was. And then from there, I went on to other masters. Next master was Lao-Tzu, who wrote the Tao Te Ching. And that was the only thing that he wrote. But there are many different interpretations of it, many translations, and I've read a lot of translations. So Lao-Tzu was my next master. And then was J. Krishnamurti. This was a philosopher, thinker that Bruce Lee studied. So I figured anybody that Bruce Lee studies is probably worth studying myself. Because if Bruce Lee was my master, then if I learn from his masters, then I could better myself even more. So I studied J. Krishnamurti, read some of his books, and it provided great insight. Ultimately, it was Lao-Tzu from the Tao Te Ching that sparked my inner wisdom completely. And that's when I say that I experienced enlightenment at the age of 21. So I studied Lao-Tzu, J. Krishnamurti, and started studying like Chuang Tzu, which is a great disciple of Lao-Tzu, and Lieh Tzu, which is another great disciple of Lao-Tzu. So Tao, I studied that as much as I could find on it. But there's not that much out there on Tao. So I went through as much as I could, as much as I could find on the Tao. So those were mainly my masters. And I came across Eckhart Tolle, and he came out with The Power of Now, which was only one book at the time. I studied that. So he became my master. And then he came out later on with A New Earth. But those are the only two books he came out with. Studied a book from Abraham Maslow called Total Psychology of Being. That's a great book. So I learned a lot from that book as well. I found out about Erich Fromm. He came out with The Art of Loving. Came out with To Have or To Be, which were great books. And I started studying Zen. Started studying writings of the Buddha. But Buddha, his teachings were all verbally translated or transmitted. So there's a lot of corruption of Buddha's teachings. So it's hard to find the real wisdom that Buddha was trying to share because it's been corrupted. Just like Jesus' teachings has been corrupted. And it's hard to go back to the original. Then I came across a sage called Osho. I found one of his books in the library, and immediately I connected. before finding his book, I already knew I had a lot of wisdom inside. It's just that when I read, I don't necessarily discover new things. It's more about helping me explain what I already know. So the connection that I had with a lot of these sages is that they would be speaking things that I would speak myself, and they would just basically just say it a different way. So when I encountered Osho in his teachings, it just connected with me immediately. I saw exactly what he saw, and we connected immediately. So then from there, Osho has lived to 60, about 60. And before he died, he was able to get out an enormous amount of material, way beyond anything that Bruce Lee was able to produce, or any other sage that I know of. Eckhart Tolle or Lao-Tzu, or anybody. He was able to get out an enormous amount of material. So now he's my master that I learned from mainly. I try to watch all the videos, try to read all the books as much as I can. I've read for at least probably around 20 books right now. One of the books I read was like 1,300 pages long, the Book of Secrets. I'm purchasing more books. I'm studying him as much as I can. And it looks like it's going to be for many years. See, I see that when you study a master, you should take as much as you can from him, or learn as much as you can from him. And when there's no more to learn, then you can move on to the next. Because Bruce Lee, he died unexpectedly. He only came out with so much material. After you learn that material, you should be striving to learn from the next master. And that's what I've been doing. And now I'm at Osho. And he has an enormous amount of material out there, and it's going to take many years for me to get through it before I will look into somebody else. But that's what I see, that everybody should learn from a master. Nobody knows everything. Buddha was learning, or Osho was learning from Buddha, from Krishna, from Jesus, from all sorts of different people. So, nobody is perfect. Nobody knows everything. And there's always somebody out there that you could learn from. So I see that we should be searching for the masters to learn from, to take ourselves to another level. Maybe we know everything that we need to know from within. We know the truths from within. These masters could basically help us explain these truths better. They could help us teach better, help us understand what we already know a little better, help us transmit the truth better. And when you encounter a master and you learn from him, there really is no point in going below. You should be searching for people that have gotten to higher levels of consciousness rather than going backwards. And I see that that's the way that you will ultimately progress in the most efficient way. So I see that people should go beyond and don't just stay limited to just one. When you've learned what you need to learn from one, then you should seek out for the next master.